as anybody who's learned anything, I don't care if it's sewing or if it's football, you have to have a mentor or a coach that can show you what not to do, not just what to do. And so I think
I'd like to thank Broad Street Insurance for making this episode possible. To learn more about them, please go to www.broadstreet-ins.com. So welcome to Boardroom Sports, the podcast that helps former professional athletes collaborate within their investments. Today, I have the honor of hosting Jon Najarian, the perfect subject, former athlete, NFL, Chicago Bears, now sitting in the boardroom of a trading option firm, Market Rebellion. Tell me, Jon, first of all, thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
doing great, Ira. I'm really looking forward to the discussion. I'm very excited about the second half of 2024 and what it holds for us, especially given that it's an election year, that the Fed is probably going to be making some moves, and it's just a fun time to be involved in the markets because, as you know, the markets that I'm trading, that you're trading, whether it's commodities, whether it's stocks, whether it's crypto, they move on news and information that you and I get from TV, from internet sites, and all the rest. So I'm looking forward to the discussion, sir.
Yeah, myself, very, very, very exciting stuff. Again, Jon is a former trader, a venture capitalist, a TV star, and he's a fintech visionary and a board member of Chicago Board Options Exchange. So people listen, his words come with value. Very, very so. Jon, you're currently the president of Mercury Trading. It's one of the largest options specialist firms in the United States. Can you talk about that? How you got involved? How did you go from the field into the boardroom?
Sure. And technically, I am not that person anymore because we sold Mercury Trading. So we sold Mercury Trading to Ken Griffith and Citadel in 2004. And Ken was fairly aggressive about wanting to acquire a market-making firm with exposure on multiple exchanges. We had that. We had the Pacific, Philadelphia, the New York Stock Exchange, and Cboe Global Markets. And we sold that whole operation to him. He took all of the employees except my brother Pete and I, as we were owners. And all of that worked out, like I say, pretty interesting. We were faced at that time, Ira, with the idea that we had to either start investing about $100,000 a month to compete with the firms that were doing high frequency trading, or we needed to sell the firm. And Pete and I chose to sell the firm to concentrate on what he and I could do trading wise. And then we started building out Trade Monster, Option Monster, and a whole bunch of things that we ended up ultimately selling to to E-Trade. I almost said Schwab. I've talked to Schwab, of course, numerous times, but we sold that firm in 2016 to E-Trade, and now it has been folded into Morgan Stanley, because Morgan Stanley bought E-Trade just this year.
Wow, that's exciting stuff. From your experience, my first question from what you just said is, wow, that's super exciting. That's almost like, breaking out of a huddle and then getting ready for the next play. You're trading options. You're talking about six-figure investments at a time, at a clip. There's a lot riding on it. It's like a can't lose situation. Explain to me, from an athlete standpoint, and then from the boardroom standpoint, what's going on in your mind pre, during, and post from both ends?
Okay. As I think many of my fellow athletes would say, Athletes tend to thrive in the business of trading primarily because of their discipline. It's not just that they're aggressive. Many of them are very aggressive, of course, but discipline is far more important than being aggressive when it comes to trading anyway. Perhaps not so much in football, but certainly in trading, it's vital that you have discipline more than aggression. Aggression can get you in trouble, actually, but it is good to have when you back in the day, I used to, Ira, stand on the trading floor, and it wasn't a fight, but you definitely would get physical with people. You'd be in their face, because you're standing next to people who are earning a living the same way you are earning a living. Buy, sold, as fast as you can do it all day long. And when you're doing that, sometimes you're not the first person on the trade. And if you're not, you don't get the trade. So again, you have to be disciplined, but also aggressive in order to get that trade, in order to be fast, and then disciplined about cutting the losses, because there are losses, and taking profits when you have profits. So Pete and I, my brother Pete Najarian and I, he played 6 years in the NFL. So he knows a lot more about discipline than I do. And he always says, discipline dictates action, or DDA. So DDA is what we live by. It's what you die by if you don't have it. And we try to impart that into new investors, new traders. When we have the opportunity to work with people, we say, look, you've got to be disciplined about both. You can't just be disciplined about cutting losses. You have to be disciplined about taking profits as well.
Wow. Wow. So literally, it's a split second decision on both ends, because as a football player, right, you're getting there, you want to be the first one there, but you get there a little bit late, right? What happens? Here comes the flag, late hit. Same thing on the trading floor, right? You just hurt your team, right, John? So now you want to go and you want to execute that trade. You either want to go in and buy and be long, or you want to short some stock and get rid of it, and then you're a little bit late, and then what happens? God, I hurt the team, only because your mindset has to be there in that instant, and you have to react like you said, and that's how I see how the athlete translates right from the field, court, wherever it is, to the boardroom, because those instantaneous decisions is innate. They're used to making it. They've been doing it from Pop Warner, from Little League to now the NFL, MLB. So like you did, being disciplined, you learned that, you had that trait, and now you're translating that onto the trading floor and with options. Wow, that's fantastic, John. That is absolutely fantastic.
As anybody who's learned anything, I don't care if it's sewing or if it's football, you have to have a mentor or a coach that can show you what not to do, not just what to do. And so I think that a lot of people make a mistake, whatever venture it might be. Maybe they leave pro sports and they say, well, I'm going to start a clothing brand. Great. Probably a good idea to find somebody who has done it, who knows where to get that, piece of that hat or that jacket or whatever it might be made at a good price. And then what some of the pitfalls are. What happens if the shipment's late and you don't get it in time for Christmas and the holiday shopping season and so forth. There are a lot of things that I think any business person knows that those of us coming into it from, for instance, pro sports don't know. We might be aggressive, we might be disciplined, but if I don't have a mentor to help me out, I'm probably going to give a lot of money to the wrong people. And we've all seen examples of that. And then we've seen, conversely, the opposite. We've seen guys like Charles Barkley, or guys even more so like Shaquille O'Neal, that just kill it. That once they've learned it, they just go and they open 100 Five Guys or 100 pizza shops or whatever it might be. But I guarantee they didn't just think that they knew it. They had to go to some mentor or somebody that helped them learn it. And I think that's vital And a lot of pro athletes make the mistake of thinking, well, I'm good at this. People love me. I'll be able to make money at this new venture. And that's obviously not the case.
Wow, that's very interesting. And at the end of the day, you made it to the top of your game. You were an NFL player. You made it to the top of your game. You're on the board of directors of the SIBO. You're now owning multiple firms. You're buying and selling firms, and you're telling everyone. And please listen, and I as well, because I agree. Mentorship is huge. It doesn't make a difference who you do, what you do, who you know, so forth. As the great Jon Najarian said, mentorship is key to any pit of success. So I appreciate that, John. I do. Now, we met down in Augusta, Masters Week. You were collaborating with Josh Allen, Doug Flutie, some amazing companies. Right, you're there to try to gain exposure. You individually spoke in front of a group of high net worth individuals during the Masters Week. Tell me, John, a little bit about that experience, what it brought for you, and what it brings to these companies that will have the opportunity to collaborate with former athletes at these high profile events.
Sure. Well, first of all, Ira, it was great meeting you there. Met so many wonderful folks. And that's why I went, because I wanted to meet people like you. I wanted to, of course, see Doug Flutie, who's a longtime friend, or Josh Allen, who is just a new friend. I didn't know Josh before. Obviously, I knew who he was. He's one of the top quarterbacks in probably the most competitive sport that I can imagine, pro football. And he's at the absolute top of his game. I think that kid is sometime going to be in and win a Super Bowl. But it was great because so many of the people, there's all types at the Masters, folks. Obviously, that's a difficult ticket to get. We all know that. But when you get there, some of the people are business owners that have been going for decades. Other people are people that were lucky enough in a lottery to get a pass, to get into the Masters. And they just love the game of golf. They love the idea of following their heroes around the course and so forth and so on. I thought it was a great mix of people that I met. So many great events like the Wheels Up event at Rayau's. The guys, they probably spent $3 or $4 million moving an entire restaurant from Harlem, more or less, down into Augusta. And they weren't the only ones. There were a whole bunch of other firms, obviously. Everybody who has a product that they want to get in front of, a large investor group like that. I don't know how many 100,000 people end up descending on it. Not 100 and some odd thousand make it onto the course, but there's a lot of folks that just go to the parties and or hang out at the periphery. So they get massive exposure at these events, whether it's the Super Bowl, whether it's World Series, whether right now it's Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game, whatever it might be. And there are companies that want to tie their brand to those events. And why? Because, well, let's see, a lot of decision makers at those events. So whether you're making Xerox, whether you're Dell and you're making PCs or printers like Hewlett Packard does now, whatever it might be, you want to be at these events because they are not only decision makers, but buyers. Because like I say, it's kind of split between those that run companies and those that are just great fans of the sport of golf, for instance, or of Major League Baseball, and they want to get to the All-Star Game or get to the Masters. And that crowd is a very valuable crowd. Everybody wants to be in front of that crowd. That's why Josh Allen was there. That's why Doug Flutie was there. And, some of the Olympic athletes that you and I saw, Ira, that were there, they're there because, they'd love to be involved with the right situation where they could put their personal brand and match it up with, for instance, Chevy, Cadillac, with Dell Computer, with Tesla, with whomever or whatever it might be. So it's a pretty exciting time. And obviously, uh, what did Tom Cruise say? A target rich environment. It certainly was that.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Target rich is the words I would use as well, because as you said, there's decision makers. They're there in a relaxed atmosphere, which adds to the value of the time that you, as a former athlete, myself as a sports marketing firm, finds, because you can really get to know someone like John and I did, and understand the person, get to know their values, get to know their beliefs. And if you're fortunate enough to find those people or those companies to align with, that's what this show is about. I want to bring attention, awareness, however you want to say it, because there's a lack of it. And John, I think you can agree with that. There's a lot of opportunities for former athletes, because let's face it, the athletes that are currently competing, they don't have the time or the energy. And as a corporation, do I really want to focus my time? We work Shark Tank, right? For 5% of my equity, I don't get out of bed in the morning. So we want to align ourselves with someone that's, vested as well with their brand, with their idea and your persona. Your knowledge, John, is unbelievable. It knocks it out of the park, and that's why I'm blessed to have you on the show today. Um, and I know you'd mentioned, and I like to speak about it. You have a new book coming out, which I'm super excited. You mentioned it very briefly. It sounded exciting, but I want to hear more about it. I'm sure everyone wants to hear more about it. It's not an option as a name. So, John, please let me know and let everyone know what's this about.
Well, my brother and I, thank you, Ira. This is our fourth book that we've written. Um, this one takes everybody soup to nuts about trading. Not that they need to compete against Goldman Sachs or, Citadel or whomever it may be, but so that they know if they choose to, A, managing their own money, or B, just knowing that the person they pick to manage their money is pretty expert at the things that they expect him or her to be expert in. So we called the book It's Not an Option, because we don't think just owning a stock is an option anymore. It's great to own stocks. Warren Buffett owns stocks. He also trades a lot of options. Michael Dell trades a lot of options. Mark Cuban trades a lot of options. Bill Gates trades a lot. You get the idea. All these guys and a host of women like Kathy Woods trade a lot of options. And why do they do it? Because they can give you leverage, number one. Because number two, you can define your risk when you enter the trade. So a lot of people that didn't understand those two factors end up loving how Pete and I have described how we trade, how I have traded, how Pete has traded for, let's see, this will be my 43rd year. I came out of college in '81, went right to the trading floor after I got cut by the Bears. And when my brother Pete got cut by Tampa Bay, he had 2 more years. He played with, let's see, he played 6 years in the NFL, 2 years in the World League. And he was the number one pick in the World League. He had a great career there. They won a championship and so forth. But he came right down to the trading floor. And it's not like they treat you uh, better just because you're a former pro athlete. They know you're trying to take their job. And so they're fighting pretty aggressively to keep you from taking their job and from taking the money out of their pocket. So it's great to be a pro athlete when you go down to a trading floor, because there tends to be a lot of respect and a lot of fans. In some cases, not for me really, because I only played 4 games, but for Pete, somebody who was around for 6 years, he was a little bit more well known, and he came down to the floor and picked it up very fast. He was pre-med in college. So we tried to put all the things that we used to mentor people like my brother, people like we had 60 traders, uh, things that we used to mentor all of them. And we tried to put it in a book like that And you can get it for free, folks. If you go to itsnotanoption.com, you can get this book for free. They'll charge you $9 to ship it to you, but it's still cheaper than going to Amazon and paying $30 for the book.
Well, thanks for sharing that, John. And I recommend that everyone gets that. You don't have to be a former professional athlete. John said it well. Diversified portfolio. You just don't buy stocks. And for people that don't know too much about trading and Wall Street and so forth, an option is simple. And we're going to put it in layman's terms, and I'm going to let John explain a little further. It's the opportunity to buy stock at a future price, and there's time value involved with that, right? You can short the stock, meaning sell it, and hopefully it goes down, and then produce the piece of paper, that stock, at a later time at a profit or loss. Or then you have the opportunity to buy a stock at a certain price at a given time, and that's a long option. So, John, if you want to take that and explain to us exactly, hopefully, what I said to everyone out there in layman's terms, we would appreciate that.
Sure. Well, you did a great job. A call option is the right to buy a stock for a certain period of time, just like Ira said, at a strike price. In other words, a target. So if we were to talk about NVIDIA, for instance, right now, maybe that target's $130 a share after this 1-for-10 stock split. Well, rather than buying 1,000 shares at $130, that'd be a $130,000 position. You can buy an option and control that stock for perhaps a month, maybe 2 months, whatever it might be, for maybe $5,000-$6,000. And people would hear that and say, how is that possible? Because it's not a perpetual. It will expire. You only have that for that set amount of time. Is it 1 week? Is it 1 month? Is it 2 months? How long were you willing to pay for? And the more time you have, the slower the time decay. Also, the better the likelihood that the direction you picked could be right. But a lot of people focus instead on, oh, this option's cheap, I'm going to buy a lot of these. Not the best way to go about. But yeah, a call option, the right to buy it at a certain price, let's call it the strike price, for a certain period of time. The opposite is a put option. It gives you the right to sell, to push stock across the table to somebody else, and to say, you know what, I think this stock's going down, maybe because interest rates are going up, maybe because they have a bad earnings announcement and the stock is about to drop because you don't see people spending as much money on their particular brand. Well, that would be a potential target for somebody to say, I think I want to own a put option, which gives the owner the right to sell the stock, again, at a price over a certain period of time, a day, a week, a month, 2 months, whatever. So those two, the stock option on the call side or the put side, give you a lot of different ways to attack what could be otherwise a very expensive allocation of your funds. Again, 1,000 shares of $100 stock, $100,000, $5,000 in an option, much easier to stomach. So a lot more people are gravitating to options. Options have just exploded in volume. In the 43 years I've been doing this, in the first year that I was a trader, we traded about 400,000 options a day. Now we do 50 million options a day, 50 million per day. That's in 43 years. And it's really accelerated just in the last 4 or 5 years. We more than doubled from, for instance, 2025 on a very busy day to now doing 50 million a day in options. So there's lots of liquidity. It is popular because of those two factors, really. It gives you that leverage that an option gives because it's a limited time, and they let you define your risk on entry.
Wow, and that's truly amazing advice, ladies and gentlemen. That's from the member of the Chicago Board Option Exchange. That's advice that normal people would pay tens of thousands for. So if you want to listen to that again, I highly advise that. Again, the name of the book is it's not an option. John, would you show the audience again, please? They'd love to see it. And he puts it in layman's terms, right? The vernacular. A call, John says, is to buy, put is to sell, and read this book. It will teach you exactly what John just said, how you can learn and actually get into the market. You don't need to invest $160,000. You can invest $5,000 and still have the opportunity for the same growth by buying options.
Yep, the trade-off is the time frame, folks. That's all it is. The trade-off is time. How much time? And did you give yourself enough time to be right? A lot of people trade options ahead of earnings. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. But again, if I know the earnings are next week, which in the case of today, it's the 16th of July, if I know earnings are next week for a company like Johnson & Johnson or any of the companies that might be coming out with earnings, I would probably trade a short-term option, an option that expires in a week or a month, something like that. But if it's something perhaps around the election, I think defense stocks, I think energy stocks or whatever might do very well under this administration or that administration. Well, I probably want more time to be right because the election's November. It's not right now in July. So depends on your time frame. That would make your decision for you as far as what option expiration that you'd pick, and that how far out of the money with a call or under the market with a put that you want that protection.
More invaluable advice. Look to get involved with these options, as John said, when there's news coming out, as he says, earnings. When they're going to announce certain things, there's an election. Take advantage of these timely events because the elections only happen once every 4 years. Earnings come out 4 times a year. So these are opportunities that people don't know about, that in John's book will simply explain to you of not only how to do it, but now there's a little input and insight of when to do it. Because as John said, with options, timing is crucial. Timing is crucial. So yeah, so John, thank you again for that advice. I want to speak a little bit more about this because this is so intriguing. I want to talk about your firm, Market Rebellion. There's some news that you are now bringing on Grant Cardone onto the board of directors and getting involvement with this firm. Geez, wow. Please tell me about this. Super, super excited. Talk about dropping bombs.
Yep, we really are excited about that because Grant has been a friend since probably 2019 before the pandemic. And I spoke at one of his big events in Vegas, Ira. He had 24,000 people there. It was amazing. And he is a master salesman. He runs a private REIT, a real estate investment trust, folks, that pays monthly dividends. And he lets investors invest right alongside him, same money, same terms as him in these various properties that are almost exclusively, by the way, in red states. Why is that? Because he really wants growth. He wants to catch the people that are moving to the red states like Texas, like Tennessee, like Florida. And he buys residential, like 200 unit, 400 unit, 600 unit buildings. He's got $4 billion worth of real estate right now. And investors are invested, like I say, I am one of those investors, invested side by side with him. So when he gave us the opportunity to discuss with him coming aboard with my brother Pete and I at Market Rebellion, I jumped at the chance. I flew down immediately and said, let's talk about it. And after about a 2.5 hour discussion, he said, let's do this. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. Let's get this done. So now we are partners. My brother Pete owns a third of the firm. I own a third. Grant owns a third. And what we do there is we educate people, give them financial literacy about stock, options, futures, cryptocurrencies. And we've got a trading platform that we bought called SOGO Trade, SOGO, SOGO Trade. And the reason for that is in 2016, we sold the firm that we created, Trade Monster, for $725 million. We sold that to E-Trade. And we said, you know what? We weren't ready to sell back then in 2016. We're going to do it again, only this time we're going to do something that Grant's very famous for, 10x. We're going to 10x it, meaning that we're going to do 10 times bigger. So our goal is in the billions, and we've created what we think is a great trading platform for investors. Again, stock, options, futures, crypto, all on one platform. They can also get all the education and financial literacy. And Pete and I did an event with Grant already this year in March where we had 6,000 people in person in Miami and 150,000 live watching over a 3-day conference. We're doing that again in October in Miami, and it's going to be called the 10X Wealth Con. It's going to be amazing. Grant's a tremendous marketer. His team are, world class, and we're going to have a fabulous event with some of the biggest names in finance that are going to be there. It'll be up on the website 10X Wealth in the next few days or weeks, but it's going to be October 9th, 10th, and 11th. It'll be something that people will talk about for a long time because, like I say, we are going to bring together some of the biggest people. I mean, shoot, at the event in March, we had Peyton Manning, we had Mike Tyson, we had Tyler Perry, we had Anthony Scaramucci, my brother Pete and I, so many folks for that event. And we're going to break it out again in October, and we're really looking forward to it.
Super, super exciting. Normally, John, I'm not gonna lie. Usually after the show, I recap, I take notes, I go over everything. I'm gonna book my trip, but right as soon as we get off the show, I want to be in Miami like yesterday. Wow, the who's who. It's a can't miss event. I mean, the little bit amount that we just spoke today is just worth so much, and to have all those high level decision making, powerful, influencing people bringing you what they've been through, giving them your knowledge, your experiences, let them lean on you. Again, it's in Miami, and you'll definitely see me there, John. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll have a VIP speech for you, Ira.
Oh Lord, thank you much. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that. So, Market Rebellion, is there anything further you want to speak about that? We know Grant is a third owner. You're a third owner. Your brother's a third owner. Talking about powerful engine, think tank with every aspect you can bring with housing, investing, teaching, educating, giving them knowledge that they never would have had, all in, for lack of a better way of saying it, one-stop shop, and you get to live there. Wow. Talk about opportunity to grow in every way, shape, and form. That's a beautiful thing, John, and I'm looking forward to see great things happen from that. So yeah, excellent. So basically, John, I wanna thank you very much for your time. This was nothing less than intriguing, nothing less. Again, John's a former NFL star, clearly a rock star there, a rock star in the boardroom. Who makes it to the NFL and grows, builds, sells company, collaborates with Grant Cardone. A pleasure, nothing but mine again, John, to be on my show. If there's any way you want to reach out or learn more about Jon Najarian and his books or anything, John, how do we reach out and get in touch with you and learn more about you?
Well, they can get the book again for free at itsnotanoption.com. That's just itsnotanoption.com. All they have to do is pay shipping and handling. I think it's $9. They can also reach out to me at my name, Jon Najarian, Najarian. That's my handle on X, which used to be known as Twitter. Just at Jon Najarian, no H. My dad was the one with the H. And on LinkedIn, of course, because I'm on LinkedIn, and I know many of you that are viewing Ira's show are probably big time users of LinkedIn. It's a great way to connect with people, and I certainly do that through LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, John, again, I can't thank you enough. From the field, from the NFL to the boardroom, numerous boardrooms, bought and sold many companies. This is Boardroom Sports Podcast. Until next time, stay on top of your game.